Excellent!
We're gonna leave it out for now, and as we come back with a follow-up video, we might bring it back. So very much interested in your feedback in the comments section down below. No, that's when they go to an alternate ending. Okay, never mind. Scratch that, Joe, don't use it. A little bit of time has passed. We wanted to actually get the system put together, which meant we needed to wait for this package to arrive. So let's take a look at what is inside. Magical things. We have some streamers. Delicious streamers, whatever you want to call them. So we have the cable extensions for the 24 pin as well as for the 12VH power for the... I remember you making fun of me. Sitting here narrating as well. As you can see, we have all of the stuff for the build that we need right here. Let me go ahead and run over it for you right quick.
Whatever's your video, you shall see what I suffer.
So the streamers will cover us for the 24 pin and the 12VH power cable. And then we also need some airflow in this system. So we have a lot of fans. And note the red text on these because they are reversed blade. Now I need to count these up and then think back to when I was telling Leanne Lee how many of these and which ones we wanted, because I guess I decided at the time the airflow orientation of the build, but then I've forgotten since then, so we'll figure it out. So there we go, glorious RGB to make the build even faster than it already would have been. But that's not all, folks. Oh no, you probably know this because for you it was like a minute or two ago. For me it was several days. The 4K 60 Pro that we wanted to install here so Joe could also do some streaming and capturing with this system was not fitting. It was actually right up against our graphics card. So I have a few potential solutions for that. We're gonna use PCI Express extension brackets, and I have a few different models. Should hopefully give us some flexibility there. These just came from Amazon. They're from companies like Jintuyun. But I got a flexible one, I got some rigid PCB ones, and hopefully, even though that's gonna position the 4K card a little bit lower than the brackets, since we have the motherboard in the upper location, we actually have this panel we can remove down here on the case, so Joe can still access the HDMI in and out for the 4K 60 Pro. Just messing around with these PCI Express adapters. They're kind of fun. These are available in a variety of different flavors and configurations. And for anyone who's looking at this and being like, why are you going to this trouble? Why don't you just use like the Asus motherboard or a motherboard with a different PCI Express slot layout? Oh, you're right, we could do that. We would have to go back and change out the motherboard we're currently using. And this is how things go sometimes when you're doing a build. You come across something that's not gonna work, you gotta figure out a solution for it. I'm hoping this one will work. Basically a 90-degree downward angled adapter will slot into the motherboard, and then another 90-degree adapter will attach to that. These being rigid PCBs should provide some actual support for the card itself, which will then plug into the lower one like that, and hopefully hold it up well enough that we can plug in some HDMIs to the back. But we've encountered one issue already. That's not good. Why did they put capacitors right there? This is supposed to be a full-length PCI Express extension. They put a capacitor right there where the lock is going to be for a lot of full-length devices. Makes me very glad that I got two of these adapters, because this one definitely seems to be better. For one, it's got a latch, so that'll help hold things in place. So here, we'll do it this way. Unlatch. There we go. That'll lock. Seated all the way now. And then that one goes there. Look at that. And that's exactly how you're supposed to install a 4K capture card, per the instruction manual. Of course, that brings up another question, which is, are we gonna have clearance with this drop down that far? Just doing a bit of a test fit here with the fan. And yeah. I'm liking this build more and more because we are making some unorthodox decisions that are probably gonna piss people off a little bit, or I don't know, maybe people will be happy about it. But this is the fan mounting bracket for fans, radiators. Very effective, very helpful for water cooling to have a removable bracket like this. But you might notice that it actually pops up where the fans mount by, I don't know, a little bit less than 1 centimeter, I would estimate. It slots into the back with these notches, and then it connects in the front with 2 screws. My thought was, what if we flip this? And then that would give a little bit more recessed area for those fans to sit in, and maybe give us enough clearance for our extensions to use our 4K capture card. So we drop this in like so. Note that the 3 back brackets are no longer catching in there, so that's what makes this sort of a little awkward and everything, and which is why I'm sure there's going to be some people who are like, oh, what a good idea, and other people who are like, that's horrible, why would you do that? But we do still have 2 Phillips head screws that secure it in place. So that keeps it pretty sturdy. Yes, it can lift up in the back, but Joe's not going to be taking this system on the road or anything like that. Does not need to be able to travel. And now we can take our uni fans. These are the reverse blade ones, so they're going to be acting as intakes. We can set them right here. I'll mount these in a moment. And with those sitting down just that much further, using the rigid PCB extension that we had set up, I can actually install this 4K capture card right here. Is it blocking this fan? Yeah, a decent amount. That's okay. We got plenty of intake in the system. We got a lot more intake than we have exhaust, so I'm not too concerned about that. And if you're thinking, well, Paul, what about the HDMI in and out for the 4K capture card? How are you going to access that? Well, if you watch the showcase video, you might know that this motherboard tray has 2 positions, a lower one and an upper one, which means it has this removable panel at the back.
I can already hear gaping hole comments.
So again, this isn't going to be a good solution for some people who like to have, you know, a nice enclosed rear panel. And, you know, we might be able to like modify the panel to make just to get a space right there so that we could still put this back on at some point. We'll figure that out down the line. But for now, this should be hopefully a functional solution. And again, let us know in the comments whether you think this is brilliant or horrible or some combination of both. And was this easier or less easy than just in swapping out to a different motherboard or something? Hard to say. This will mount down here. All right, so I'm going to switch this. So our Lian Li Uni fans come with 2 adapters to attach after you've daisy chained them together. One has their proprietary plug that plugs directly into the control box. You get a control box if you buy a 3-pack of these. Note that the control box does not come with a single pack of fans. And it has 4 connectors. You can connect up to 8 fans to one. They do say if you go beyond that, that they want you to either use a different controller or not do all white, because all white uses a little bit more power. For our purposes, since we swapped these 2 fans back here from the default fans that came with the RTX 4090 liquid cooler, we want those fans to be controlled by the graphics card. So if the graphics card gets hot, those fans are going to increase their speed to help cool the GPU down. The fans we removed are just connected via a standard 4-pin fan header to the graphics card itself. So for those 2 fans, I used this connector that breaks out your addressable RGB and your standard fan header. That way I could plug the fan header for those 2 fans into the graphics card so it can be controlled. Then for these lower fans down here, I'm using the one that has a proprietary connector just because it's a lot easier to plug that directly into the box like so. So we'll have 2 control boxes. This one, which will be controlling all of the RGB fans. And then we have a second one here. This is specifically for the streamer units. These also have a proprietary plug. I was briefly hopeful that we would be able to use this single box for all of them, but you need a separate box for the streamer. It even says Streamer Plus on it, but it at least can connect both of our streamer devices. Ta-da. That's upside down. The more unorthodox things we do with this build, the happier I get. Since we flipped the bracket, we can't push the fans over enough. They're blocked by the flip side of the bracket on the inside, so we can't push them far enough over to go with the standard 120mm fan mounts on this side. That's okay, we've got them mounted all the way along this side, which is at least half of the battle, because you know what? Those aren't going anywhere, right? Where are they gonna go? Yeah, nowhere.
To a twist tie.
Twist tie it. You really piss people off. Hold on.
You like my idea?
Not like a lot of twist ties, but...
Oh, zip tie.
This was Joe's idea, in case anyone is wondering.
Hashtag blame Joe at
he said to use a twist tie. We're going slightly classier with a zip tie. And again, this is just to secure the other side of it a little bit. Probably not even needed. But you know, to build like this, you gotta go all out. Who's mad? Who's mad about that?
It's the keyboard warriors right now. Like,
let's do one more for symmetry. Let's see, beautiful.
Perfect. I'm happy.
there. As with so many builds in recent years, even something like this that has so much complexity with all the SSDs and going Threadripper and high-end desktop and everything, the thing that has been the most difficult for the assembly process has been connecting up all the RGB things. RGB is a trade-off, there's no doubt about that. You get some pretty lights in exchange for a bunch of extra setup time and wiring of cables and stuff. Fortunately, at this point, we have all the fans installed, we have all the wires routed to where they're supposed to be, and I think I have places to plug everything in properly. But I wanted to quickly address the airflow situation, because this is yet another thing that I think I'm gonna catch some flack for, or maybe people will think, oh, what a great idea, who knows. We have a 240mm radiator for our RTX 4090 Suprim from MSI, so that obviously had to go here. I could have positioned it in the middle, or even up high, but I thought, well, if I position it down low, and have those as intakes, so they're pulling in some fresh air. We have 2 intakes here for that, and we have 3 intakes at the bottom. The top fan here is actually an exhaust. That probably seems a little self-defeating, but I looked at the layout of the system, especially with the CPU cooler, which is blowing air upward and without any top exhaust on this case, because we've got tempered glass on 3 sides. I thought it's probably gonna be accumulating a fair amount of heat at the top of the case. So this fan exhausting back there and this fan exhausting over here will hopefully help eject some of that hot air and keep things relatively cool otherwise. But once again, your feedback in the comment section is greatly appreciated, and I will read all the comments. So let me know what you guys think back there, whether that's a good idea, whether it's a bad idea. And the other thing that we're gonna do in the follow-up video, because there's gonna be a follow-up video where we get this thing actually up and running and run some tests for you guys, I'd like to make a blocker or a separation piece. It might even just be like cardboard or something like that to sit right here so that this fan can blow the air out and these 2 fans can pull air in, and they won't necessarily be causing conflicts or like a mishmash of airflow one way or another right back here inside the chamber. With that said though, let's move to what is hopefully the final step, installing our cable extensions, both RGB and non-RGB, since these top CPU 8-pin plugs here are in a pretty visible situation. Not that these cables look bad at all, but I had some of these extensions from a previous build, so we're gonna put those up there as well.
One eternity later.
All right, well, this has been actually a really interesting build. I've had a lot of fun. We've had to work around some problems here and there. We've come up with some interesting solutions. And my biggest question right now is, are we gonna have to tear this thing apart because it doesn't function when we try to boot it up just now? So, Joe, any like thoughts or anything before you try to power it on for the first time?
I guess we should have done an outside the box test, right?
That's just, we did, we totally did.
Oh yeah, okay.
We never skip stuff like that when we're actually building systems.
Yeah, that's not a lie.
All right, then power button. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, all fans are working?
Almost.
Oh, damn it.
So close, but
Yes.
but
Better. It's a 90% complete.
this is better than expected, to be perfectly honest. Of course, there could be issues with the system. We don't really know. So much build time goes into it, so much effort routing all the cables where you think they're supposed to go, coming up with various solutions. But look, we do have like the Elgato light, so that's promising that we have proper connectivity for our 4K capture card. The fact that all the addressable RGBs on the fans themselves are all functional right now that's awesome. I'm very happy about that. Wait, let me try something.
Sure.
Oh, there's a switch here. Maybe I need to switch the switch.
There you go.
Works? Oh, it's just a switch. Look at that. And at last we have glorious RGB unicorn vomit everywhere throughout the system. Guys, that is gonna wrap it up for this first video on this build, but we can't leave it at this because we need to do at least some testing. We need to do some setup stuff. If you guys have never had a chance to work with a system that's higher end like this, that has a few more working parts than say your typical desktop, you might be curious to know if there's any sort of snafus or weird things that go on with the actual system setup. Getting all those 4TB Lexar NM790 SSDs set up properly and functional, both the 4 mounted to the motherboard as well as the adding card. So that is gonna do it for today's video. We will leave you with some sexy glamour shots of this system as is with the RGB rainbow vomit. But if you guys have any suggestions, any feedback, things you'd like to see us test on the system, lighting configurations perhaps, any feedback for Joe, or just to say like, hey Joe, congrats, like beastly rig. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Links to all the parts that we used are down in the description. Merry Christmas, Joe, Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you all in the next one. God, it works.
Alright, nästa öra, den är
Ciao. So close to that super smooth peel. Ooh, staticky. All right, now you gotta walk away, Joe.
like a boss.